Welcome to Global Watch. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. November 10th, 2025, a day that redefines global politics. The BRICS bloc, long a symbol of the Global South's rise, has just welcomed Turkey and Serbia, two European nations, into its ranks. This isn't just expansion, it's a seismic shift. For the first time, a NATO member and a European state have joined a bloc explicitly designed to counterbalance Western dominance. The implications are vast. NATO's integrity is questioned. The EU faces a direct challenge, and the very idea of the West is up for debate. At the accession ceremony, Erdogan and Vučić accepted membership with a message of autonomy and new alliances, signaling a break from the old order. The story of BRICS is no longer distant. It's at Europe's doorstep, demanding the world's attention as a new international order emerges. BRICS began as an economic acronym in 2001, coined by Goldman Sachs to describe the rising influence of Brazil, Russia, India, and China in the global economy. At first, it was simply a catchy term for investors, highlighting the potential of these emerging markets to reshape the world's financial landscape. But over the years, BRICS quickly evolved into a powerful political force as its members began to coordinate more closely, seeking to challenge Western-dominated institutions and assert their own interests on the world stage. Frustrated by slow reforms at the IMF and World Bank, BRICS countries decided to take matters into their own hands. They built the new development bank and established financial safety nets, offering credible alternatives to the US dollar system and giving themselves more control over their economic destinies. The bloc's appeal grew rapidly, especially among developing nations eager for growth and investment without the political conditions often attached to Western aid. BRICS became a symbol of hope for countries seeking a more balanced global order. Recent expansions, welcoming Egypt, Iran, and Indonesia, have transformed BRICS Plus into a true heavyweight, now representing nearly half the world's population, and rivaling the G7 in both economic clout and global influence. For Turkey and Serbia, joining BRICS is about more than just economics. It's a strategic move to gain greater autonomy, diversify alliances, and help rewrite the rules of global engagement for the 21st century. They're not simply joining a club, they're joining a movement that's reshaping the balance of power and offering new opportunities for collaboration and growth. This context explains why two European nations would take such a monumental step, signaling a shift in the global order that could have lasting consequences for decades to come. Europe's relationship with BRICS has always been wary, seeing opportunity but also a threat to its rules-based order. Turkey and Serbia, frustrated by stalled EU accession and shifting US priorities, began seeking alternatives. Economic pragmatism and political frustration pushed them toward BRICS, where they found respect and opportunity. The bloc's dynamic markets and access to capital proved irresistible, especially as Western institutions hesitated. For Ankara and Belgrade, BRICS offered a logical, if once unthinkable, new path. The November 10th announcement followed months of secret diplomacy, with envoys shuttling between capitals and back channels buzzing with speculation. Behind closed doors, leaders weighed the risks and rewards, knowing the world was watching. The move was catalyzed by years of stalled EU accession talks and a clear, ambitious BRICS expansion agenda that promised new opportunities for growth and influence. President Erdogan declared Turkey's move as a bold step toward a more just and equitable world order, signaling a desire to reshape global dynamics. He emphasized that this was not a rejection of old allies, but rather an embrace of new opportunities and partnerships that could redefine Turkey's future. Serbian President Vučić echoed these sentiments, framing Serbia's decision as a quest for prosperity, sovereignty, and a more independent role on the world stage. He made it clear that Serbia was no longer content to be a pawn in great power games, but instead sought to chart its own course. The global response was sharply split, Russia and China celebrated the move as a victory, while India welcomed the diversity it brought to the BRICS bloc. Meanwhile, the US and EU expressed deep concern and regret, warning of potential consequences and urging caution. NATO and the EU now face unprecedented dilemmas, forced to reconsider their strategies and alliances in a rapidly changing geopolitical landscape. For the first time, one of their own has stepped into a rival camp, challenging the unity and direction of Western institutions. The accession marks a historic turning point, a moment when the balance of power begins to shift in unpredictable ways. Turkey and Serbia are now asserting their agency, seeking to shape their destinies in a world of shifting alliances and emerging blocs. For both nations, BRICS is not a retreat into isolation, but a platform for greater influence and a chance to amplify their voices on the global stage. The world is watching closely as old certainties dissolve and new realities take shape before our eyes. The Rubicon has been crossed, and there is no turning back. Turkey and Serbia's BRICS entry split the world. Celebration in the global south, anxiety in the west. BRICS nations hailed the move as validation. State media in China and Russia called it a strategic triumph. Across developing nations, the accession was seen as a blow to Western hegemony and a sign of unstoppable momentum. In contrast, NATO called emergency meetings, US lawmakers demanded sanctions, and the EU faced harsh self-reflection. The event exposed deep divisions within Europe and the West, forcing a reckoning with their own failures. For BRICS, legitimacy soared. For the West, the challenge is existential. The world order is now unmistakably multipolar. Economically, Turkey and Serbia's BRICS membership accelerates de-dollarization and new trade routes. The new development bank offers funding in local currencies, reducing dependence on the US dollar and Western financial systems. Turkey's strategic location boosts non-dollar trade between BRICS members, bypassing SWIFT and weakening US leverage. Serbia becomes a key BRICS trade hub in Europe, attracting Chinese investment and shifting economic flows away from the EU. Energy trade is central. Turkey's role as a transit hub grows, giving BRICS more sway over Europe's energy security. Risks remain. Both economies are still tied to the EU, which could retaliate with tariffs or financial pressure. Turkey and Serbia now walk a tightrope, balancing new BRICS ties with old Western partnerships. Leading analysts from around the globe weigh in on this unprecedented geopolitical earthquake, offering a range of perspectives on what it means for the future of international relations and global power structures. Dr. Anjali Sharma in New Delhi calls it a watershed moment, proof that BRICS has evolved into a serious global institution. She emphasizes that it's no longer just an anti-Western coalition, but a force actively shaping a multipolar world order, with its own agenda and vision for global governance. Sharma notes that the inclusion of Turkey and Serbia compels BRICS to adopt a more nuanced approach, broadening its appeal and preventing it from becoming a China-dominated bloc. This expansion, she argues, signals a new era of diplomatic flexibility and strategic diversity within the group. In Berlin, Dr. Klaus Richter describes the development as a five-alarm fire for the West, a dramatic failure of long-term strategy that leaves NATO and its allies navigating uncharted territory, with old assumptions now upended. Richter warns that dual membership for countries like Turkey and Serbia will strain existing alliances, forcing both Western and non-Western blocs to make difficult, perhaps even painful choices about loyalty and cooperation. A London-based financial strategist predicts short-term volatility for Turkey and Serbia as they navigate this new landscape. However, she sees the bigger story as the gradual erosion of dollar dominance, with global finance entering a period of profound transformation. She foresees the rise of parallel financial systems, with new payment networks and reserve currencies emerging. This, she says, will increase complexity and risk, but also create new opportunities for countries willing to adapt. A former US official in Washington admits that the West has taken its alliances for granted for too long. inadvertently pushing countries like Turkey to hedge their bets and seek new partnerships beyond traditional Western frameworks. The urgent question now is how the West will shore up its alliances, rebuild trust, and offer a more compelling value proposition to partners who are increasingly looking elsewhere for security and economic opportunity. The world is recalibrating at a rapid pace, and in this new era of shifting alliances and emerging powers, no nation or alliance can afford complacency. Turkey and Serbia's BRICS entry redraws the global chessboard, creating new fault lines and forcing a rethink of alliances. NATO faces an acute crisis. Can it trust a member now aligned with Russia and China? The G7 must now compete with a BRICS plus bloc that's larger and more diverse, complicating unified action on global issues. Dual membership creates diplomatic schisms, giving Russia and China leverage to disrupt Western consensus. A new middle ground coalition emerges as countries pursue multi-alignment rather than binary choices. In the Balkans and Eastern Mediterranean, Turkey and Serbia gain leverage, but volatility rises. The world's alliances are now fluid, transactional, and unpredictable. The world has changed overnight. Turkey and Serbia's BRICS accession marks the end of the post-Cold War era. Western institutions must confront their failures and adapt, as exclusion and pressure have only fueled the rise of alternatives. For BRICS and the Global South, empowerment comes with responsibility. Can they deliver on promises of equity and stability? The expanded bloc must manage internal divisions and prove its model works. The future will shape energy costs, supply chains, alliances, and values for everyone. The age of simple certainties is over. Agility and clear-eyed realism are now essential. The sun rises on a new geopolitical landscape. Navigating it will define our era.